the second match of the night, and we've got two Titans facing off. It's the NYXL versus the Seoul Dynasty right now. I'm your host, Malik Forte, joined on the desk by Sideshow and Reinforce. So, guys, the NYXL, they've led the league. They've locked up their playoff spot. They secured the first seed, and they got the 300K that we were talking about earlier in hand. But on the other side of things, the Seoul Dynasty, they've led the Pacific Division all season, but now they're behind the LA Valiant, and they're on a downward trajectory. So, Reinforce, what's important for Seoul to do today to win?
Well, they need to improve. That's what we'd like to see. Signs of improvement, really, because in this Pacific Division, they still can make a run for the first seed, which gives you a bye in the season playoffs. That is what you want to secure. That's a lot of money, actually, if you get that bye, right? You get extra cash. But the LA Gladiators and the Valiant have looked so good this stage specifically. So it's going to be a hard ask for them to actually reach that peak. But, you know, it's a challenge you can aspire to.
Sure, but for Seoul, I don't even feel like they're really looking upwards and thinking about that. They're just trying not to drop out of the overall playoffs. And it's ridiculous to think that this team, who, when they were coming in, had so many expectations, you know. They were like the Dallas Fuel, but of Korea. You know, everyone thought that they were going to be incredible. They've won titles before in the past. They have a really storied rivalry, actually, with the NYXL. They've gone back for the last year and a half, I think. They've been playing in Apex. They were winning titles. So coming into the league, people like Seoul Dynasty, probably going to be a top 1, top 2 team. The NYXL, you know, they were good before in the past, before the Overwatch League started, the core of their roster. But they choked in finals. You know, they never quite had all the pieces they needed. But coming into the league, NYXL solved everything. They looked amazing. Whereas the Seoul Dynasty, you look where they're at the moment, and honestly, some of these games that they've got coming up, the XL, Spitfire, they've got Fusion and Gladiators later on.
They have some time to regroup as a team and prepare. I mean, that's arguably 4 matches where I think the result is, quite honestly, you know, it's pretty obvious. So then you have the Uprising, the Fuel, and the Gladiators. That is going to be the hard games, in my opinion.
Yeah, especially the
way. Yeah, the way the Dallas Fuel have been looking, you know, there's a potential that Dallas Fuel could beat the Seoul Dynasty in current form, anyway.
Right. That kind of gives me a little bit of a throwback to Apex, you know, the good old AB Lunatic High days.
Yeah, they never beat them.
They never
beat them.
I'm saying it's time for revenge. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so how have the NYXL adapted in Stage 4?
Well, they've sort of played their sort of defensive style, which they have done all season, and now it's just even better because you can just armor up Jonak, and I mean, it's just not funny anymore, is it? It's just brutal. He's playing the front line versus the London Spitfire. I mean, this is just ridiculous. He's at a choke point as a Senora, and his team is behind him, and he's just killing people.
It's disgusting.
It's Fragata.
It's Fragata, yeah.
Fragata, Flankiata, he's just getting all the kills he needs. And this is mental because they don't even play with Brigitte that much. So if you have your best player that you play around the entire time and you have the ability to pump him up to twice or more of his normal HP, and you don't most of the time.
The thing is, he kills all the people, so he doesn't need to provide assists.
Yes, that's true. And his deaths per 10 minutes are second as well.
Yeah, you gotta bump that up.
Yeah. But this is crazy because normally, if a Zen was playing this aggressively, or you know, if you're getting out this much damage, you expect them to be in more risky positions. But Jonak isn't. You know, he's set up so well by the rest of his team. They have a great system that works around him. For me, he's an obvious candidate for League MVP. Everyone should be voting for this guy. He's just so much better than everybody else. Having a Zen as the focal point of your team. What is this? What are we watching? It's madness.
He's scarier than anybody else on the field.
He really is, unless you get Pine on Widowmaker. And then
no, Jonak is still the scariest.
You would be more scared of Jonak?
I am scared of Jonak.
I think so. But NYXL is so flexible. Right? They're fantastic across the board. But the one route that I see for Seoul to get back in the game is if they win this Widowmaker v Widowmaker matchup. Because they want Sabiobi to be playing the Widow. Because they need the flexibility. They want to move him over to Brigitte, this kind of stuff. And Sabiobi's really probably the 3rd best Widow on his team. He's still excellent, don't get me wrong. But I think Fleta can win here. And if Fleta can win the Widowmaker 1v1, they have to maybe supine in, they don't have that same flexibility, or they just get an advantage, an opening. So this is the thing that Seoul Dynasty should be focusing on the most out of everything, I think. The Widowmaker duel ratio, he's got improvements over the course of the entire season, higher final blows and eliminations, less deaths. So I really think that this is their one opening where they can try and dominate this matchup and then force Pine to come in, perhaps. Because if Pine does come in, honestly, that's going to be an insane head-to-head matchup.
Oh, yeah.
The big boss, if he comes back in, yes, he can't play Tracer or Brigitte or other heroes to the same level that Sabiobi can, but this is just phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Who wins this today?
Honestly,
if we see this matchup,
I think it might be Pine. I think Pine would be able to win, but the fact that you forced Pine to come into the roster gives Seoul an advantage in other ways that they could work around for me.
Yeah, now the maps, they aren't really favoring Widowmakers that much. We've seen a lot of Widowmaker in the past. We're going into King's Row as our first map, where we see a lot of double sniper. But the problem is that the Widowmaker, it's not that important, I would say, as in Stage 3, but it is their go-to. You're correct, Josh. It is what they need to win out with, I would say.
Yeah, not trying to dominate the Ryan v Ryan match.
No,
they have got Jaehong there. So.
No, please.
I'm pumped for this one, guys. So let's go ahead and get this thing going. Yo, Blizzard Arena, get your Sour Patch Kids Thunder Sticks, put them together, and get ready, because it's time to welcome our Stage 2 and Stage 3 champions back to the stage. Put your hands together for the NYXL. Arguably the best team in the league, New York has clinched the #1 seed for our season playoffs, and today they secured $300,000 for the best record bonus. Is there anyone who can touch them, guys?
I mean, you said arguably the best team. I'm going to disagree, Malik. They are the best team. They are the best team in the league.
They are. They're untouchable at the top, you know. Nobody, even now, we're only a week into the final stage, and nobody can overtake them. It's mathematically impossible. With Boston just losing just then, NYXL are guaranteed to be the #1 seed.
I don't see them losing another match.
Really?
This season.
I think they could later on because they're trying to save things for playoffs. But just if they play to their full potential, this team is just on such a roll. They're clutch. They perform well in finals. They had that little hiccup for the Stage 1 finals, but now they are the perfect team.
A lot of people cheering for Jonak.
Yeah. You may not like it, but this is what peak performance looks like.
Oh, that's a good meme, Josh. Yeah, you stepped up your
That was good.
Yeah,
That was good.
but this entire team, you know, so well-rounded. Everything is working
Libero
perfectly
can
for
play
them.
literally everything in the game.
That's true. I
It's-
mean, when you think about the best flex DPS players in the entire league, it's Libero, but you've also got to put Fleder up there and like guys like EQO. Libero is just really safe.
I
in
feel
how
like
he
he's the
plays as well.
sacrificial lamb when it comes down to it, you know, because he just lets Sabiolbi and Jonak shine.
Like then take the glory.
Yeah.
It's really crazy when you guys say the only weakness you can point out is putting Pine in the game. That's kind of crazy. But
It is.
But anyways, guys, it's time to bring out their opponent coming off a win over the London Spitfire. It's the Seoul Dynasty. This is a team we've had high expectations for throughout the season. It's been a wild, sometimes inconsistent ride, but can Seoul get it done today? They do have Miro back in the lineup.
Yeah, Miro is back in. So this was the question mark. Johnny, do you think Bren was right all that time ago when he said Ryu Jaehong is the problem? Was he the problem on Reinhardt?
On Reinhardt, yes, I would like to say he was part of the problem because Fleda and Sunda was dominating for a while. When it comes to the Winston, however, I think that Ryu Jaehong provided a different playstyle, which was good in Stage 3 at the time. But you're going into King's Row, you need a solid Reinhardt. I recommended last week that you put in Miro for these Reinhardt-specific maps anyway, and he's back in the lineup for King's Row. Time to bring out some ultimate kills.
Yeah, and Miro isn't what we normally think of as like the world's best Rhine. He was always known for that Winston, but he can play better than Jaehong, who's always been just a Zen and
why I had my edge.
flex support player. Yeah,
I can take some pride.
that's true. But Ryu Jaehong is now playing the flex support for them. He hasn't been practicing Zenyatta, presumably, for the last, not quite a full stage, right? But at least the last month, he's only been playing main tank.
Yeah.
So how well is he going to perform right here?
Well, I can see him playing a lot of flex support in ranked in a way. I don't think you want to play Reinhardt or Winston in this current meta, so all things considered, I think he still has it, and you need the leadership.
Johnny, is that a tear rolling down your cheek as you talk about playing main tank?
Can we bring some napkins, please? Please.
You know what, guys?
I'm hurt.
I have a feeling the Dynasty are going to give us a much better game than many people are expecting against the NYXL. So let's go ahead and get to it and send it over to our casters, Uber and Mr. X.
Thank you very much, Malik, and a good way to bring this game in. Much on the line still for the Seoul Dynasty, Matt. They've definitely slid from being a shoo-in for, playoff potential in that Pacific Division, but they've reverted back to the old style, which did give them some success.
Yeah, I mean, they're in a lot of trouble. If you lose here to New York, then you go on and play London tomorrow. Their record against London speaks for itself. You don't really think they're in a great spot to take out London, even though London's been a bit shaky. And then, you're right there with Houston if Houston can beat San Francisco later today. This is a huge match for Seoul. This is also the first time we're going to see Jaehong back on support since May 4th. So it's been about 3 weeks since we've seen Jaehong play support in the Overwatch League. Don't know if he's been practicing it at all.
And you have to wonder what has changed, because we have essentially reverted back to the original setup of the Seoul Dynasty, which is where their problems kind of started from. And then you just bring, you bring it back. I guess you rewind, or you head back to the team that you used to have, and now you're going up against New York.
And I mean, since Gamblers come into the league, we really haven't seen much of Toby. So this is really, the roster that they've thrown out there the most, outside of Munchkin for Wakid. But you want Wakid in for his Junkrat forward play potentially. Brigitte as well, as King's Row will be map number 1. And we'll see. I mean, it could be really dangerous. Right? Like if you see Seoul, maybe they play Miro on maps that you want Reinhardt and Orisa, and then Jaehong on maps you want Winston. But we've never seen anything like that, where one map a guy is playing flex support, and the next one he's playing tank, and then back and forth. It would be really weird to see something like that.
And it bears mentioning as well, Matt, that Janus starts here for the NYXL. We've definitely seen a little bit more of Mano as of recently. New York, initially when they came into this stage of the Overwatch League, didn't show any Brigitte strats at all until they had a chance, obviously, to use it last week against London. London was surprised that they had such a solid Brigitte slot there. So New York can, as far as we can tell, do anything they want.
Defense for Seoul Dynasty, they'll have the Orisa Widowmaker Junkrat combo. Not surprising here. So you saw Arc there on Zarya at the beginning. So we found out, Mitch was telling me earlier.
The Gravy hit me up on Twitter.
Yeah.
He explained to me that obviously sometimes you just want to give your Widow a barrier so they can grapple up in the air and not get shot by the enemy Widow. So you have a Zarya just for that first push. We saw Sleepy do it yesterday, which is... I did bring it up. I wondered what the plan was, and now we know.
Sleepy not playing Zarya?
Yeah,
not
yes,
playing
well,
Zarya either?
Yeah, it was a moment that he had locked in. Now we know why that is. It's pretty common, apparently.
Double sniper here for NYXL. You run this against the shield up top. It's like Janice and Meko can't really go too close to Miro. Enfleta up on the high ground. Wakid's going to be there to just put down a ton of damage. You're going to rely on Libero to create some openings with some damage. It's Sabiel B, though, who draws first blood there on Jaehong in this fight. It'll get res right back up, though, so Seoul back at full strength. That'll be Zumba getting demeched.
You can't resurrect a mech, Matt, unless you get enough damage with a Bunny Buster to return it. Sabiel B now, it's time to spring forth. Libero was sconed by Wakid earlier on, and there's still a decent pocket of Seoul players here on the point where they've been infiltrated, Matt. Miro's found his way to the cookie jar, and he's leaving with all of it. New York just plow through.
We talk about the embarrassment of riches on like London, with their roster for so long. But with NYXL, with their 3 DPS players, they're all so good on
DPS players
on Widowmaker. Yeah, with Jonak, right? They're all so good on Widow. It's like Libero is, you would look at probably their weakest Widow player. I think you can make an argument Widow, Libero or Sabiel B, but they'd be like one of the strongest Widowmaker players on a lot of other teams.
Well, that's what I was saying at the nest, right? Sabiel was only the 3rd best Widow in the Overwatch League.
Yeah.
Oh god. I mean, he's that player on Tracer, especially, who just turns it up to 11 in those games that really matter.
But what we've seen, I know in the last series with Boston, it's Sabiel B just getting Zumba real low. Gonna try and push up a nice bubble there, keeping Miro alive. We've seen with Boston, the struggle is what does Striker play to consistently make an impact? And it's like, Sabiel B, you didn't really have that many worries coming out of the last meta. You see Wakid just kind of lurking behind enemy lines. He'll have a rip there in a second. Because Sabiel B, he picks up Brigitte pretty fast. Can play Widow. His Roadhog is good as well. McCree. So he's got a lot of heroes that he can play at a decently high level. So he'll use Infrasight here. They're going to have a very good idea of where Wakid is. Jumps right on him.
He needs to kill either Arc, okay, we'll get Sabiel for free. I was going to say, with the Riptire, he needs to kill Arc or 2 people to make this worth it, but it's tough. They're quite split up, but that's good. Finding the first kill with the remote mine, not only saving himself, but removing Janus means you can't resurrect to make up the numbers deficit. You're pretty much done here. Wakid does go down to Jonak. Really any surprise there. Jonak always seems to have involvement in these fights, but it is enough to push NYXL out.
And I wonder if we see a change from Libero, because he ended up using his Dragon Strike during that fight as well over
towards the left-hand side, and really not going to get anything, especially when the Riptire was already out. Maybe they thought that they weren't going to use the Riptire after they got the pick on to save it again, they would fall back out.
How much do you really expect to get with a Dragon Strike, man, that's not backed up with Graviton?
Yeah, I mean, not much.
Use it just as a wall, essentially, right? You're made with arrows.
Off. I mean, maybe use it to split the team away from Wakid, and you think you can pick Wakid off and then get the res rate on the Savior beat, but didn't work out that way.
Wakid is still sneaking his way through the back line here. No Riptire available for him now, but we saw he could just sort of jump in and get the remote mine done. So Miro's down early here to Libero. Obviously found a gap in the shield, or a moment when Libero wasn't protecting himself. But look at that, the fight is over so quickly. New York's so good at turning one pick and just complete landslide victory here, and that's exactly what we're getting.
Yeah, it's going to be New York using their Valkyrie during that fight. Primal Rage as well. Gambler used the Valkyrie as soon as he took even a little bit of damage there from Janus. And then Janus tries to display some of these supports with Primal Rage. He does a good job of it. Wakid makes a change. So you're going to counter the double sniper setup with a double sniper of your own. The only difference here for Seoul is you're going to have the Zarya. It's interesting that you've played a Winston Diva into this Ryan Zarya for so long. Zarya extremely effective against Diva.
I think for New York, it gives them flexibility. There's nothing that hard counters out their tanks, but now we see Seoul go. Yeah, we never see Seoul respond here.
You know why we haven't seen them get punished is Zumba's average energy right now is sitting at 2%. So you have not been able to get any charge here. As New York extremely disciplined, right? Not putting any shots into those barriers.
It's probably because as well, NYXL are getting picks with double sniper comps, and that's just insta kill, right? It's burst damage, and if Zumba doesn't have the time to shield the person, which he obviously doesn't as they're dying, then no, he's not going to get charged.
Well, they're not putting a lot of pressure on Miro in the front. It's really just the snipers going for, the opposing snipers and the supports in the back. So who does he really have a great use of the bubble on? He's not gonna do a 360 and protect one of the supports right before they get sniped, right? I mean,
well, they are trying to pick around Miro, which was something you could do over the last couple of stages of the map, but now it gets a little bit harder because you need the high ground above Zumba to really do that. Otherwise, Miro can effectively protect much of Seoul Dynasty from being picked off. You can see Jaehyung's positioning would indicate that he's very wary of Saviobi up in that right corner. He's wrapped around the side. This is what Saviobi was trying to do. Just ignore Miro. He's a non-factor until he turns his back and gives him an easy shot. Until then, you fight for this high ground, and Saviobi looks for those early picks. Here's an Earth Shadow. But it is going to be a Transcendence from Jonak immediately pulled out here. And now, Seoul don't really want to be in this kind of fight. It's a Graviton Surge drawn on towards Meko, but he's really hardly feeling the burn. Seoul have to use a lot in that fight, man.
Yeah, they invested a lot there. I mean, you're going to have no Valkyrie or Transcendence. You use your Graviton Surge, so you don't have that ultimate to combine with the Dragon Strike. No, if NYXL wanted to here, Mitch, they could probably go dive, right? You're not worried about Brigitte on the other side or like a Junkrat with a static comp. You can play dive into these double sniper setup and just avoid Miro and Zunball together, right? Just go to the high ground, just jump on the snipers in the back, and then just force him to rotate all the way to the back.
I wonder how much this, because I agree, it's a bit strange, Matt, that you have dive tanks with double sniper DPS. I do wonder if it's a matter of preference for Jarvis here to sort of stay on this Winston choice. He maybe preferred us. We know he's the more aggressive of the Winstons, maybe less peel-oriented than Mano is. Maybe he prefers to try and drop in the back and harass.
On this part of the map, you don't really need the shield because there's so many different areas that snipers can peek from. I know Widow or Hanzo can get up to the high ground that we see Blood on here. They can go up to that a little doorway.
So how much value does Miro's shield then have for Seoul up against this comp from NYXL?
I mean, he's just protecting Zumba and some of the supports sitting behind them, right? I mean, that's about it. But you think, if you go to the high ground and you shoot down the shield, what does the shield really do it, right?
Not a lot, unless you use it like a parasol. Zumba had switched over towards the Diva now after playing Zarya for a bit, so that's something to bear in mind. Janus finds Wakid earlier on, so, half of the snipers for Seoul are down, and Fletter's sort of been forced out of optimal sight lines purely because Saviobi has been taking pot shots at him from this high ground. Miro dropped his shield for a second and takes a big hit from Saviobi up on high. This is about to get messy, I can feel it. Jaehyung is going to get hit well hard, and in fact it was a Sonic Arrow. Oh, what was that? An attempt perhaps to resurrect there from Gambler, but he actually just trying to avoid the Dragon Strike. He will get the res.
It's nice. It's going to be a Dragon from Wakid as well, which kind of forces Libero out, but it's going to be Transcendence here for Seoul Dynasty as they're trying to hold on to this point here, not letting NYXL complete the map. That'll be a scatter arrow there from Libero, who takes out Zunba, but it's not looking good for Seoul Dynasty, man.
Gambler just trying to ticket this one. I like what Meko was doing before, sitting inside the bubble, making sure that if they wanted to challenge him, they'd have no healing from the Transcendence. Dragon Strike does cut through it in the air. You can see Gambler desperately trying to keep his team alive, but it's just Zumba who's actually a presence on the point. Miro is down already. They really needed him. He barely made it to the point. He had Earth Shatter as well. Self-destruct to claim Meko as he just ejected himself to get one off. See Janus can stay alive as long as he possibly can. Saviobi's in the mix now on the Tracer. This could be big.
And Miro does have this Earth Shatter where you can see if he lands and he connects with Libero in Saviobi. So Miro trying to keep this alive. It's going to be Arc trying to pocket Jonak on through this. Not going to be able to do it.
That Earth Shatter from Miro may have just saved Seoul Dynasty here from being capped out and actually might prevent New York from taking the map itself. Saviobi being knocked down, Arc only being able to really kill Jonak at that time is just massive, and there it is. Seoul, hang on. Saviobi, not quite enough to get the job done at the end of the round. How odd. Such a fast early push, and you saw that New York got slowed down drastically on that last stage. Due to their composition, do you think?
They were struggling finding picks towards the end. Once Wakid switched off of Junkrat, went over to Hanzo, he was getting some nice pickoffs, and you weren't able to just kind of peak at ease if you're NYXL. I mean, you can just have the Hanzo and the Widow just kind of change places, going after Fleta. I mean, you weren't getting much value out of Junkrat anyway. So it was a good switch there from Seoul Dynasty. We can take a look at Miro here with this Shatter. It's going to connect with Saviobi in Libero. Just lines up both of the DPS players. And then at this time, it's just both supports left here for NYXL. That's an easy pickup.
I like that from Miro as well. Knows that it's not his responsibility to follow up on the Earth Shatter and allow, you know, his teammates who are sort of just coming back onto the point to deal with that. He needs to make sure he stays on the payload and not get distracted. We did see a couple of C9s from Seoul, obviously, in the end of last stage.
Seemed like it hurt you to say that.
It does. It's a crap meme. But having said that, that was a good response to Miro just to make sure he stayed in control. So NYXL, not finding picks. I mean, there was a Reinhardt there. Sometimes it can be hard to work around the shield. If you can't get that like high ground advantage as a double sniper comp and you have a Reinhardt blocking much of the, you know, access to the back line, then it can be hard. Kudos to Seoul.
It's pretty standard defense here for NYXL. Orisa, Widow, Junkrat sitting up on the high ground. Seems like they'll wait a little bit. The Seoul Dynasty roll out with this, most likely not. Looks like we'll see some changes. Won't have a good idea what they're going to run here until a few seconds. As I mean, maybe Jae-Hung throws out a Sonic Arrow, sees where some people are. You could run triple tank here.
Yeah.
It'll be triple tank. So this is something we saw them used to do on Horizon. Pretty much the same setup.
I like this. We're seeing less of it this stage, but you basically just walk onto the point, you force NYXL on challenge. It's a great answer to an Orisa-based composition. You're forcing the defenders to come to you. You essentially reverse roles. The attackers become the defenders and vice versa.
So the only downside is that if Fleta can't cause a lot of problems up on the high ground, you know, Libero's going to be... Libero's already has a Riptire. I mean, that's a 30-second Riptire. Yep.
Ouch.
And that'll be the first push for Seoul Dynasty.
Okay, so that remote mine, hugely impactful there. Remember, NYXL are playing defensively, not just with Libero, with Saviobi there. So you separate Seoul for admittedly a brief period of time, but you prevent Miro from being able to effectively shield his team in that moment. And then they're a little bit scattered as well, because they will get knocked and displaced in different directions by that remote mine. Really well laid down by Libero.
I think their Seoul is in trouble in this push as well, because Fleta and Jae-Hung didn't die during that. So they're both like lurking over in the back right-hand side of the hotel. So we'll see if anything can happen here. Fleta does take out Jonak. Jonak trying to go hunt him down on his own.
Oh, and NYXL can't even really trade out properly. Great follow-up there from Zumba, by the way, realizing that Arc was trying to resurrect him, so he has to give up his life in order to bring Jonak back. Now, is that worth it or not? That's the question. Great flanking from Seoul. All they need to do now is maintain a token presence on the point itself, and then deal with most of the big threats on the NYXL roster now, Matt. Janus down, Meko has to get demeked. Beautiful play. Love the response. Seoul looking much sharper today.
Yeah, I think Jonak pushed that a little bit too hard, going up against Fleta in the one-on-one. Sombra first. Zenyatta, you know, you do like Jonak's chances most of the time, but against a player like Fleta, you're not going to be able to one-on-one him like that.
That wasn't even what impressed me most about that. It was Zumba's follow-up.
Follow-up, yeah.
Realizing there's a res going on, so then you get yourself the Mercy kill, and guess what? Then Fleta returns to back Zumba up, and together they deal with Jonak, and all of a sudden that's 3 kills. And you don't lose anyone.
You'll continue with this comp if you are in YXL. No, there's nothing that'll really make you pay for Libero playing Junkrat here. I know, not like a Zarya or let's say a Pharah, right? You wouldn't run Pharah against Widow anyway, but they're just some of the counters for Junkrat. So you'll keep this Junkrat here. You're getting a ton of value, lots of Riptires. Here's going to be another one coming in from Libero. He brings it high off the wall, not able to get much of anything. It does force the Seoul Dynasty back a little bit.
Yeah, and having lost Sunba there in that fight, it just makes sure that Seoul don't try and fight until he's back for the rest of it. I say that, and they're still trying to fight anyway. Zumba's not with them yet. We're going to have a lot of ultimates used from Seoul now. It's more likely that they want to switch off this comp eventually. It's why they're using these perhaps seemingly frivolously. See if they can get a win out of it, though. Ark's down. Whole Hog actually finds him, and through pure weight of ultimate ability, Seoul are making progress still.
And Meko will have a self-destruct, so he'll be able to use this, get another mech back. As they're putting a ton of pressure on Jonak, they're able to take him out in the alleyway.
Oh, come on! Nice charge from Miro. He's looking very good back in the stirrups on Reinhardt. Does get taken down by Libero from that high ground, though. A little bit hard for Seoul's current composition to really contest that high ground position Libero has, except for Zumba. Again, one D.Va on your own, not always so easy, but look at this combined weight of numbers from Seoul, allow them to push forward. Sabiobi gets a self-destruct dropped on his front doorstep, not fun. Meko goes down to that, and Seoul is still pushing on.
Well, that's a huge self-destruct. They put it right on top of Libero's body, so Arc can come out and res the Junkrat. You res Junkrat there, you may have another chance. It'll be Arc using Valkyrie as the NYXL want to fight this.
Janus about 75% health on the point right now, and Gamble's just checking around the backside to see if there's any disruption he can cause. A boot forward could make a big difference. Can send Janus careening into the backlines of Seoul. He'd be happy with that, but Libero finds a pick on Wakid now. That's a flanker down. Flatter returns as Widowmaker here, so you can see slowly Seoul are actually changing their composition. Libero will wait on this one. It's only 10 seconds, so he really can only afford to buy time with the Riptire and not find a kill with it so low in health.
Oh, and Jaehong uses Coalescence there, so maybe you see him change up as didn't really have a great opportunity to use that Coalescence there. Yep, be a switch over to Zen Gambler. Now, when you have Junkrat in Widow, you kind of want the Mercy. So we'll see if they decide to stay on Lucio, maybe get a use of the sound barrier. You're so close to it, and then switch over to Mercy. But probably would want Mercy in this comp.
I'm surprised that NYXL were able to hold on in that fight. Seoul dug deep intentionally now. As you can see, Jaehong has already switched. Flatter will switch himself. A couple of those supports being switched out. I find it interesting, Lucio Zenyatta as a combination is curious. Not a lot of healing overall, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, when it's not a ton of healing, and you think, okay, maybe we give this one fight with Sound Barrier, but they have Transcendence on the other side. They already have an advantage in terms of Valkyrie in Riptire percentage, so giving up a ton of ultimate percentage here at NYXL. Just use this Sound Barrier.
Okay, talk about attack speed defenders, should I say. Solo now swap places again with the NYXL. That's a big shatter. Will they get it? No, the Transcendence comes just in time. That's so clutch from Jonak, keeping their Mercy alive, and now Miro realizes he may have bitten off a bit more than he can chew. Forced to back away as the rest of his team are ripped to shreds. And that was a really interesting setup into that fight, and maybe we get this on like a halftime breakdown, but they kind of went all the way around the left side, and Miro put himself in between Janus and Meko and the rest of the NYXL. But he still couldn't reach the backline, even though he was standing in front of the Foundry as Reinhardt, because obviously they're so far away, he only has a hammer.
Now you have the switch from Gambler over to Mercy. Yeah, it's only one fight, but still that one fight, whether it's damage boost or some healing, may have even given you like a Valkyrie for this final push, because now you're about halfway to Transcendence. You may never get that, especially if Libero gets a tire on the other side. Save will be as in for sight. So
do you think they just kept Lucio because they were close to a sound barrier?
I think they did. I think they want to get.
Is that greedy?
It is a bit. I think you want to get a use of the obviously speed boost plus sound barrier. Maybe they had a little bit of a set play there. Just seems like change is maybe a little bit too late here.
I mean, Matt, that may have backfired.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now. It's 19 seconds remaining in the round, and NYXL not really looking too concerned right now. Gonna try and isolate Sabiobi a little bit, but he is graphically just gets back to safety. He's right in the back line now. Riptire, and he's got 3! What a big way to turn it up here in Seoul! All of a sudden, deflates, wind knocked out of them. And soon the Vital Force will join it. Self-destruct here for Zumba. He tries to take cover on the high ground. He will get resooner, but he won't be able to get back to the point. Well, when it rains, it pours. Libero not only burning rubber, but bringing it down on Seoul.
Nothing you can really do against that. It doesn't matter if they would have had some support ults or not. It's just a well-placed Riptire from Libero. Connects with 3 players in Seoul final push before it even begins.
Seoul Dynasty looking improved, Matt. Looking a little bit more coordinated in many moments here, but there's more work to be done. Map 2, just around the corner. This is the Overwatch League.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel. Intel Core i7 powers the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's fastest network ever. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
As you all know, the Overwatch anniversary event is happening right now. And folks from Blizzard actually released a pretty neat little tool over on Facebook. It is a camera effect for your mobile devices. I had a chance to try it out earlier, so let's just take a look at it right now. Yep. That is my everyday filter. And you know what? It now can be yours too. So make sure to head over to Facebook and try it out yourself. It is compatible with all iOS as well as Android devices. I can't wait to see the results, so make sure to actually share those with me. And you know what else? I can't wait to see map number 2. Wow, what a segue. Please give it up for myself. We're heading over to our castles right now.
I'll give it up for you, Zoe.
I'm
Nice
on
job.
you, Zoe. You're trying to mold all of humanity in your image by making them use that filter on Facebook.
I'm going to go use
Right.
that filter as soon as
All
I
right,
get out of here.
Bam, I see you straight through your shenanigans. Trying to make everyone an army of Zoes, and then just gonna storm the Blizzard offices and make every hero look like Tracer and do. Wow, that would be like the no hero limit days of
That'd be fine.
Overwatch. Remember those
Okay.
ones? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Map 2. So with Boston actually losing that last series, NYXL have confirmed that the top seed, going into the playoffs, which is big for them.
Earns
They're
themselves
probably
more
not
money,
surprised.
right?
I mean, yeah, I don't know if we have a breakdown of that, but those guys are looking pretty good, I think,
yeah.
through these stages, of course. Double stage champions, of course, and being in the playoffs makes a big difference for them. Not that they care. I think Jonak's got about 73 pairs of shoes right now. I mean,
You can always have more. Can always add more to the collection. So I believe we are just waiting for some subs. We have some subs coming in for NYXL for Horizon Lunar Colony. It looks like nothing going on in the Seoul Dynasty side. So for Seoul Dynasty, we thought, this would be the lineup they would stick with. Miro now back in at main tank. I don't know, like on the outside, like I get it, right? Like you are making the change. It's smart. Miro is a better Reinhardt player than Jaehan. It's just like, it seems like a team in panic, right? Like you have a main tank and then you take him out for support and then you go and put him back in.
Right.
It's like,
Which is never a good thing, because I mean,
No.
we actually saw Dallas Seoul had some of the same issues, right? Because obviously Taimu had to play tank for quite some time, and they brought in the tank player. Then he got to go
I feel like
back to
Dallas
DPS.
Fuel was different just because they were forced to make like a switch of like Taimu to main tank. It wasn't like necessarily like they had a full roster with 2 main tanks already and then just decided, hey, let's put him in there. So
Where is Kuki?
it's a bit Kuki is still on the roster. I mean, we haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah.
So I mean,
As far as we can tell, he's been inactive, should I say, or just practicing or something like that. But okay, give me a report card then for old new Seoul.
So I mean, look, they looked good on Kings Row. I mean, in their last matchup against NYXL, they lose 0-4. I don't know if this one will be 0-4 stomping for NYXL. I feel like this one could be a little bit closer. Subs that come in, it'll be Mono who comes in for Janice, and you also have Animo who will come in for Arc. So it's the 2 subs that come in as Animo. We haven't really talked a lot about him, right? But his stats on Mercy are still very good. I mean,
Yeah.
Arc, obviously one of the best Mercies, if not the best.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely, I guess, in the mix as, primarily that sort of Mercy player. Ark's very good as a survivalist, Mercy, actually.
Yes.
If you look at his statistics, I think over every single stage, in fact, especially when we've seen prolific Mercy play, he's been the lowest deaths of any Mercy, which makes a big difference.
Well, it's a lot. I would say it's probably easier to not die when you're not really dying as a team. I mean, you look at like some of their deaths for all their other players, they're all really low. I mean, they're just stomping through the overall. I mean, only 3 losses this far.
And conversely, I guess it follows as well that your amount of healing done relates closely to the time you're alive, because it's not rocket science, guys.
Yes.
Hit mouse 1 on someone, and you're probably going to be fine. But
You are alive longer, you will
Absolutely.
have better numbers on the rare.
Horizon Lunar Colony will be our next map, and an interesting one indeed, because this is a map where teams are very much tested in their ability, especially with tanks, to get in position, coordinate dives, and control high ground. I feel like, especially on the first point, but even on the second, using high ground or taking control of it as the attacking team. Oh, take a photo! Look at his coordination. That's synergy. Love to see it. Look at that.
Rebecca doesn't get the effect.
Is this like the evolution of the Overwatch player? Starts off an anime, that goes through. When he becomes better, he becomes a Ryan main, and then Diva main is like alpha.
You're an Ana main, and then you have a few bad games. You're a Hanzo main then.
that's a devolution.
Yeah, the evolution. So Seoul's going to play the Orisa Junkrat Widow comp on defense. We'll see what NYXL decides to do.
They have so much fun with Overwatch.
I like this. Triple tank. And they're going to have a Brigitte, Moira, Lucio combination.
Saviobi gonna get you on that Brigitte now. Obviously, New York want to very quickly get to the point. So Animo actually on that Lucio here to speed them up. Livro, well, let's just say he's had player engagements. He gets caught up and J-Hog picks him up out of the sky. But now NYXL are on the point. Seoul must interact here. Like, give it a tick already. They must rally the forces and start to get on here. But now that NYXL are entrenched a little bit, they can get a lot of value out of Saviobi here. Disrupt the front line, mess the tanks up, and they're doing just that.
And that's where Brigitte makes a big impact as Zumba goes in because they get mono low. You have Saviobi there, just stuns him and then takes him out as NYXL, they rush to the point. They're going to be able to take it here.
Sometimes, that really nice Brigitte play looks like brush strokes. It seems like on a tapestry. Sometimes it seems like someone's just getting the tar slapped out of him. I think it was a ladder on that occasion. NYXL have already moved on to the second point here.
Coalescence here.
I mean, the realtor hasn't even arrived yet, guys. You can't look at the apartment yet. Mano gonna go for a charge. Oh, he's knocked off course. He doesn't quite get the connection on towards Gambler, and that might make a big difference here. But Seoul, they're just completely shell-shocked right now. Traction scattered over the point. It's Saviobi down to a Riptire. Mano now steps forward, and look at them control this space. Zumba can only just dip a toe in the water, and he realizes it might be a little bit too hot to handle.
I mean, you do lose Saviobi, but he got the rally off. You're going to have a sound barrier if you do need it. That'll be Animo dropping that Lucio ultimate. As Flooded now on the point, trying to keep this one alive. Jahan dead as well.
Exsanguinating every person in sight. And Seoul are struggling to even get onto the point still. They're going to make their way in. We do have Wakid on that Doomfist now approaching to the left side, but Libero's getting picks. They managed to set up a Widowmaker now. Get Libero entrenched on that left-hand side. He's even got Infrasight. He sees everything! And the soul of Seoul is laid bare before the wall hacks, and a very angry six-man squad of NYXL sat on the point.
Yeah, the fastest cap time overall on Horizon is like a minute 27. I believe that one clocks in at like a minute 49. So right up there with some of the fastest times we've seen of completion on this map. As look, I think Seoul played a comp that we've seen so many teams play in the past. It's like, when you go up against NYXL, you have to expect them to come out with something a little bit different. They know how teams like to play this. They come out with a really nice, I mean, look, we saw a lot of quad tank when teams would go up on the high ground. That's, when we saw Horizon previously in Overwatch League, and teams would run quad tank and go around, and they would play off the Zarya and whatnot. It's basically the same type of thing like Brigitte is, like a half support, half off tank. You run the same type of setup.
Seoul also kind of made a little bit of an error by not all just dying on that first point, because NYXL, they move around to the point from the right-hand side, and then Seoul had to defend from the left. So NYXL puts themselves in between Seoul and the other point. So then you take first point. There are a couple Seoul players still alive getting staggered, and then you just plant yourself on the point, set up a tent, and kick back.
And I think this will be the interesting part of the game. NYXL going to play this comp that we just saw Seoul play with the Junkrat, the Widow, the Orisa. Nothing too surprising if you've tuned in Overwatch League in the past. What does Seoul Dynasty do? Do you go with Dive? Because this is a team that when they ran this exact lineup, struggled with Dive at times. So, and we've seen Munchkin be the Tracer player primarily. Now you have to put Wakid in at Tracer, right? So it makes it very difficult for Seoul.
We'll see if they stick with this. Full dive would be interesting, given that a lot of those issues with tank coordination came from Seoul trying to play this dive comp. They don't have much choice though. I mean, they could play like a Lucio Moira approach like we saw NYXL do on the attack that might even be close to their wheelhouse given this current composition.
We've seen them in the past play no Moira, just trying to get some tanks onto the point.
Can we talk about the obvious
Jaehong
element
playing,
in the room?
Jaehong playing Widow. So maybe you think you can force the dive and move some players off of the high ground and then push them back. But how are you going to solo heal this with a Mercy as players are jumping up from the high ground? It's going to be really hard.
So a fully charged Widow shot does as much damage as the Junkrat grenade to a shield, so it's like 120, which is great. But they're less frequent, and there's not much else that Seoul can really have to break the shield or force cooldowns out of Mono to refresh that barrier. Look at this. They're just going to break upon them like waves on the cliffside. Jaehong finds Libero, so at least someone sort of gets thrown out of the mix away from the protective barrier. And now NYXL have to juggle keeping the point contested with fighting on this high ground. I don't mind this.
It does get contested here as Wakid on the point. Gambler and Jaehong coming in as well. It'll be Sabilby who takes out Jaehong with a nice headshot as saw a really nice job from Meko playing D.Va. A lot of players getting on the point trying to contest it. A lot of pressure from Seoul Dynasty. The supports and Meko do a nice job keeping everybody alive. As we'll see if Seoul Dynasty stays on this, if Jaehong will continue to play Widow.
You'll notice now that Sabilby, he'll probably make more forays outward and try and actually go one-to-one against Jaehong in a lot of these cases. Just because he sort of knows what the setup looks like now. He does need to be careful. If he tries to play away from the shield, he can get dived easily.
Well, I mean, you do have the benefit of having two supports for NYXL, right? So Jonah can just leave like an orb on Meko as he goes to the point, and then if you want, I mean, you can damage boost Sabilby going up against Jaehong. You can't really damage boost him because you just have that solo support, right? Gambler needs to put all his resources into healing.
Okay, here's the dive yet again. Zumba already down to half, and well, you can see Mano standing his ground. Now the Riptide does get the D-suit, or at least assists in getting the D-suit on Zumba, and flatters down to a remote mine. That kill, that's the one that really hurt Seoul. Flatter cheaply lost as he tries to dive on the high ground, and once again, you get nothing for this.
Just a lot of healing from NYXL up on the high ground.
Look like Zumba.
Not a ton of damage coming on through.
Jaehong.
Jaehong is, oh no.
Out in space.
Here we go.
Nobody can hear you dab. Goodbye.
Yep. So he's dead.
He's, well, I mean, to be honest, he doesn't have, we've been through this before, he doesn't have the correct breathing apparatus. There's no atmospheric pressure out there.
There's a lot of issues we have with the outer space.
Not loving it, yeah. But you know what, this is the future. They have robot horses now, so perhaps he has got plan. Either way, Seoul need to do something with this. They've stayed on the same comp mat, they've not switched it. They have to make a difference. That's a big headshot to start off, and Miro has the primal rage. The point is being contested right now. It's Wakid v Meko, and Meko's going to be more than happy to take that 1v1. He's so healthy.
You almost don't even need to heal him because he's got self-destruct, right? He can just use it and then get another mech.
It would need to be a one clip by Wakid to win it. Wakid has a pulse bomb, so we actually can pulse bomb the exploding mech if that would happen. And this is the, so there's two fights happening right now. Meko is delegated to deal with the annoying Wakid.
And is it worth even investing the pulse bomb when most likely then Libero comes back with Animo and then you just res it up anyway? Like, they haven't had to waste their reses on anybody else up on the high ground.
I'm going to take big fat no for 20, Matt.
Yeah. It's Flutter.
Okay. This is a common theme here.
It's just, you don't have enough damage to break through in the high ground because Jaehong is just really going to shoot into shields. Now Flutter stuck inside.
Well, here's the thing. In space, you don't know which way's up and down. So Seoul can't tell that they're tilting really hard right now when they're out there. It's fine.
As Jaehong now goes Doomfist, as you're just trying to touch the point now at this stage of the game. NYXL hasn't had to use either support ultimate through this entire half. Flood is still not even at a Dragon Blade. He'll finally get it down.
This is what we call what Seoul appear to be very unprepared for what NYXL have here, or just fundamentally unable to beat them on a one-to-one basis. Miroy didn't have Primal Rage, by the way, so after taking that headshot, he knew he was already dead in midair. Libero's Riptire, yeah, Gambler, not going to win on the river this time, I'm afraid. It's going to be Jaehong now just trying to style these boys on the point, but he's down to Meko. Wakid again, the Hornet, to try and find his way to infiltrate the backline. He's in deep trouble. It'll be Zumba. It'll be a cursory attempt to try and stay on the point, but that's about it. Very unimpressive from Seoul, and New York barely took a hit.
3 final blows combined from Seoul. It's going to be 3 kills total. 2 of the final blows from Jaehong, 1 from Wakid. So that tells you everything you have to know pretty much about this game.
New York have 11 times the final blows than Seoul have on that point, and it's the 11th hour ringing now for Seoul in this matchup, Matt. 1 more and they're done. They need to keep things together as we go into half-time. The Des will break what we've seen down now, and I'll be interested to see what their take is, Matt. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you after the break.
If you're in the Los Angeles area, come experience Overwatch League live at Blizzard Arena. For tickets, check out access.com.
So far, it's business as usual for the NYXL. They get the wins on both Kings Row and Horizon to take the 2-0 lead over the Seoul Dynasty at the half. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Malik here. We got Sideshow reinforcing the building. And guys, it looks like New York is just continuing to run this season-long clinic that they've been running so far.
I mean, they showed some hope, right? There was a moment in time where we believed in the Seoul Dynasty today.
Was there?
Yes. Well,
when was it?
They captured point
I think
A
I missed
pretty
that
fast. They almost captured point B.
They held New York on Kings Row on the third point, too. So
the hype was building. It was like, can they beat the New York Excelsior? Fans were getting ahead of themselves, but down as usual.
Yeah, the problem is Horizon, I think, for them as well. Kings Row didn't look that bad. They actually looked like you said, not full hold them. They hold them from completing the map, and then they didn't look too bad on their offense. A lot of teams get snarled up at that point B.
Yeah.
But Horizon, is this the third time in a row they've been full held on
I
point
believe
A?
it is. They're sneaking up on San Francisco's record.
Yeah, they look so clueless when they attack it. That's the problem.
Well, okay, let's go ahead and jump straight into the highlights and go back to Kings Row.
Yeah.
What did you guys see there in that map that stand out for you?
Well, really was Miro's clutch Reinhardt play. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself about the Reinhardt plays. But in many ways, I think that the Seoul Dynasty, they did a good job shutting down the New York Excelsior. We've seen a lot of Junkrat on point B. Junkrat hasn't had the best win percentage so far this stage, but they still stalled out the New York Excelsior long enough to where Miro can come up clutch in this final fight with the Earth Shatter. So they bought themselves a lot of time, when in many cases, it's very easy to snowball on Kings Row.
And I'm going to be honest, my win condition here for the Seoul Dynasty was if Fleder had a hell of a game. You know, coming out on Widowmaker, destroying Saviovi. He got the worst end of almost every duel that I was looking at, and in general has had a pretty quiet performance. I really don't feel like he's had that much of an impact. Now, the maps aren't great for him, but even so, if your win condition is having that quiet a game, then things aren't going great for you.
All right, and guys, heading on over to Horizon. Really happened so quick. The match went so fast. It's kind of even hard to really pick anything out there. Was standout here.
Yeah, was that a record time for NYXL on the offense? It could well have been. They finished with 6 minutes 10 in the time back.
I don't think the odds are in your favor, honestly.
And then the Seoul Dynasty on attack, they've got.
What happened here?
Is Jaehong just trying to play DPS for the team as well as flex support, as well as tank?
Ryuje Doom. Maybe?
Well, there was no Doom in that game.
No, well, it was Doom for Seoul Dynasty, yeah.
Oh, I tried.
But the problem is, you're trying to dive in, right? Okay. And you need to keep your tanks alive. So what do you want? No, you don't want any. You don't want a healer. You want a Widowmaker, of course, into the Orisa shield. Well, that to me fundamentally doesn't make any sense. You can either go really heavily aggressive and just try and make Genji Tracer dive work against the Orisa, or you play what teams used to run, where it's the Sombra Tracer. You play the point, you try and drag somebody down to the point, and maybe if it's like Meko, you try and get the D-Mech, or you dive once they have been dragged down to the point. You know, there has to be a bit more subtlety to it than just we'll keep throwing our tanks in and hope Jaehong hits something on Widow.
I mean, if we take a look at it, it's just they're feeling lost, right? So we can roll the gameplay and we can just see how the final fight broke down with the Doomfist, and they're just jumping in from everywhere. Then you're trying to Sunba is trying to throw the self-destruct after Miro has gone in and died, and Ryujahong went to a different angle, and so it's just a lot of chaos going on. And the most surprising thing to me is that Ryujahong swaps to Widowmaker at all, because that tells me that it has worked in practice. You wouldn't pull it out on the stage.
I don't know.
Or it could just be a Hail Mary, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you must have practiced it. There's no way you put Ryujahong or Widowmaker without practice.
I don't know. I don't put anything past the Seoul Dynasty at the moment.
Yeah, well.
But they really need to fix this because it's a glaring problem. And yeah, you can say NYXL, such a structured team, you know, rotations, they play that map pretty perfectly. And they do. But Seoul have struggled against everybody on this map. It's not just that their opponent was really good, it's that they look lackluster. And honestly, this isn't a must-win game for them. They're up against New York. We didn't expect them to win. But they need to start showing improvements. Otherwise, I don't believe they're going to be able to win against the other lower level teams. And that's where it's really going to hit them. That's where they're struggling and might lose out on a playoff.
The power rankings, man.
Yeah.
Power
rankings. Where did you have them?
All right.
10th.
He had him 10th. I was questioning him earlier about it too. So,
Yeah.
all right, there's some validity there. There's some validity. Well,
Kings Row look good.
well, we'll see if the Dynasty can get their soul back. No pun intended. That's it for halftime. We're going to Bang Tower after the break. Had to do my Golden Boy thing there.
Overwatch League and T-Mobile are teaming up to give you the power to help choose the league's first MVP. Cast your vote on Twitter now by using hashtag OWLMVP in your player's battle tag.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Overwatch League. Halftime is done, and there's no more space to breathe here for the Seoul Dynasty because the NYXL are coming hot. I'll be honest with you.
And if you lose these matches, if you're Seoul, they know the one obviously right now against NYXL.
This current match that we're in.
Yeah, and to London tomorrow. You need to at least take maps because the map, differential between you and Houston's not going to look pretty good if you drop a series, 3-1, 0-4. You need to keep them close.
Seoul got thrown a bone a little bit with Houston actually losing out that match to the Gladiators. That Houston would actually be starting to rocket ahead with them a little bit more. I love the storylines between these two teams though, and we hope definitely for much more close matches between these guys. We kind of got them at the start of the Overwatch League, but I mean, we talk about Gambler coming in here for Seoul, playing against his old team.
Yeah.
Obviously going up, he was on LW Blue for much of that time, and there's actually a great video out there of him and Savior. We're doing a singing duet at Apex. So these guys were close. So Gambler comes in now, and not only does he have to go up against his old mates, ironically enough, LW Blue never achieved great success in Apex itself. It was actually previously the Seoul Dynasty team, right, which is so crazy. So now he's going to go up against his mates and just get absolutely thumped by them in the process. It's not been great at 2-0, but Janus has returned here for control.
Yep, Janus will come in for mono. Everything else will stay the same for NYXL. And also with Seoul Dynasty, it'll all stay the same. So you see the score here. Kings Row, pretty close. Horizon, not close at all. So we'll see if Seoul Dynasty can keep the series alive, potentially taking Lijiang Tower. I know Akid or Fleta can both play Pharah here. It just depends on what else you want to play in this comp. It looks like here at the beginning, you're going to have a Pharah on both sides. Savior will play Widowmaker. You will not have a Brigitte for NYXL.
Okay, a couple positives for Seoul. We get to see Zumba's Zarya again.
Yep.
On this particular round, they're playing that Ryan Zarya combo. Janus definitely seems to prefer the Winston, or at least his team like to play around him in that fashion. So it's going to be Zarya, Reinhardt versus Winston and Devo. A lot of different tanks out here, Matt.
Yeah, now usually with the comp that you see, Zumba gets really weak and they're able to finish him off. Yeah.
He was out of position, I think, at 1 HP.
They're going to get flooded as well. Okay, so I was actually going to say, I kind of favored the comp that Seoul Dynasty had here at the beginning. You know, you have two really strong tanks with Reinhardt and Zarya. You're able to use a lot of that damage coming down from Pharah against them, but just a Liberal able to pick up 2 players from the sky. I was going to say,
you can't beat them. Join.
So we'll go back, they'll run pretty much the identical comp. They're going to run Fleta on Widowmaker here
The only difference is that they're a lot further behind on ultimate percent, Matt, which is bad considering they lost the first fight as well.
I mean, whoever lost that first fight was going to have to switch. I think if NYXL lost that first fight, they would have had Sabielby switch off of Widow, and he would have played Brigitte, and you would have played the Ryan and Zarya too.
Sabielby playing off towards the side. We see Carpe also favoured this position. That's how he played from here in that matchup in Boston. Libero! Yeah. You know, it's funny. I think with any other team, we get very excited about that, but this is just another day at the office. I think it was the way it was put on the desk. Business as usual, if you will.
And it has to be, if you're a Seoul Dynasty fan, this entire first season of Overwatch League has to be really alarming. Remember at the beginning, I know now it's going to be a full dive coming out from Seoul, but at the beginning we were like, don't panic, they're playing the long game. Stage 2, they're setting themselves up, for later in the season, the playoffs, right? We're talking about the overall playoffs. Stage 3, don't worry, they're going to come out, they're going to look on fire in Stage 4. They're going to have Jaehong playing the main tank, things are going to get better.
Credit to
and now this is where we're at.
Credit to Seoul, they have a good PR team. Wicked. Oh man, he's out there like Private Ryan, except no one's coming for that guy. So Libero knows, obviously, it's a big giveaway where Gambler's standing because of the chain of heals. I'm going to call it chain of heals. I'm pretty sure it's some technical term. The caduceus staff. Jaehong died with Transcendence there. He never really got into position. So now they have one fight, Seoul, with 1 ultimate to spend, maybe a Primal Rage. But NYXL have a Transcendence themselves in this barrage. They got both support. It's not looking good. I'll just give it to you straight.
As Fleta probably would have been the one that needed a touch. He does fall, and now they never actually get to the point, as I believe Miro not able to make the jump around the corner. That one, nobody dies here for NYXL on our first stage on Li Zhang. We'll see if things can go better for Seoul in our next one.
Gambler's just yelling across the stage, hey guys, don't worry about Luna. Bring me in. Get me in the team. I'll join you next season. Definitely been having problems.
Guys, I'll totally come back.
So, this round from Seoul, okay, so let's put this in perspective. NYXL, 11 final blows in that round. Seoul, 0.
Yep.
So, they might be, getting close to sort of pulling a Florida-level performance.
Pretty much double the damage for NYXL.
I mean, Fleta with only 9% of his team's damage, so not able to get going. He had 338 damage on Widow. Sabielby had 2,044, so big difference.
I think when you see with Fleta's damage, obviously, Wiki played Pharah. Fleta did play Brigitte at the beginning. I think you just see how difficult it is, though, as a Genji player right now, right? So many different things that not exactly work in favor of Genji.
It's so tough. And
yeah.
Janus as well, if he's backed up by Mecha, then there's really not much Genji can do against this team. Sabielby's going to kill you at close range. Fleta be Sabielby? In any other day or any other era, it would be top 10 anime battles, but right now, Sabielby's just looking more... okay! Looking more confident, but sometimes that's your downfall as Fleta waits around the corner. Crosshair placement. Take note, Brett.
So here's the benefit of the team of NYXL. You can feel pretty confident to go to your dive. So we'll see Fleta land another headshot here. He's starting to come alive. 2 final blows here. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of a different look. Libero will play Brigitte, and you'll have Sabielby stay on Widow. So usually we see Sabielby play Brigitte, but Libero, not surprising. He's able to play a little bit of everything, right?
Janus just nonchalantly frolicking on the other side of the map for the rest of his team. I mean, you gotta be feeling pretty good if you're willing just to play on your own. However, Jonak went down to Jaehong to start with, and Libero's also followed, so that's another fight over for the NYXL.
No, it's not. No, as Zumba goes in a little bit too deep, he gets stunned, and they almost actually push Miro off the side here. It's so different playing Zarya. You cannot just fly in there when Brigitte's on the other side. You're going to get bashed and taken out of your mech really quick.
So bizarre as well, losing the first 2 picks of the fight. And NYXL just kind of standing away for Seoul to make a mistake, and they do. Not the expected outcome, that's for sure. Libero moves in now. I'm not usually known for calling fights over before they are, but I was sure of it. There's Flutter though, finds Libero. The point's still not taken by NY Excelsior. There's more work to be done.
Flutter brings the back in this fight though. I mean, it's going to be 3 kills for Flutter. All headshots as, man, he doesn't pick up those kills. That could have gotten real dangerous for Seoul Dynasty. As Seoul Dynasty doing a nice job here though, in control of the point. NYXL did use Valkyrie in that previous fight, so you're going to just have your Transcendence. Maybe Libero ends up with a rally during this, and then Janice will have Primal Rage to stay alive.
Told you Seoul was going to win the fight, man. Flutter now. Waiting the wings. Saviobi is taken down. Flatter's had 5 final blows in this round. A big wake-up call for him. Definitely being met by the response of Seoul. Now getting into gear. Saviobi's brought back to life, but now they're going to split themselves just to try and keep a presence on the point, whilst rallying the rest of their troops to join the fight. Primal Rage, very timely for Janus here. Means that, you know, Mecha doesn't have to soak too much damage and potentially be desuited. And this is a good setup for NYXL. They lose nothing for staggering out this fight as they've done so. Now they need to complete the kills. Flatter being the first down. Jaehong playing off towards the side here, and Janus needs to make a decision. Keed will join him and just protect, but Matt, Seoul happy to give this one up. They lost a couple of picks. They're way ahead in this round.
And they do have some good ultimates here that have come online. So you're going to have Valkyrie in Transcendence. You do have Rally here for Libero. Everybody getting around him, getting all that armor.
Soak it up.
You're going to have, yeah, this is the first time that we've seen Libero play Brigitte. We've seen Saviel B do it already.
I think we saw Echo play it at one point.
Yeah, we have seen Echo play it as well.
Okay, yeah, here's buff Jonak, if you remember. 350 health.
I like this though. They bring out Wakid on Pharah, so now you run Pharah, Widow. It's a lot of pressure on Saviel B. Only player who can really do a ton of damage up to this far in the sky, and then maybe Meko as well, but he's got some other things to do.
Transcendence is also going to help this for Seoul. They can get aggressive now, and in the meantime, they can take the point back. Gambler's actually capturing right now as that Mercy. Good trade though. Jonak found Jaehong, who was far forward. It's safe to say, and you can see that durability. The taking is for Jonak, making a huge difference. Half of NYXL are on the point, half of them are joining the point as it is. Seoul are running out of numbers here, and they might have to give this one up. If NYXL turn this round around, I will be sufficiently impressed.
You know, the NYXL is able to hold on to the point here because, you know, both tanks get to it. Meko had a self-destruct, was able to use it, get a new mech back. Janus has Primal Rage, didn't even have to pop it, as Jonak is able to farm another Transcendence on Miro as he's Primal Rage in the back, uses it to keep everybody up.
Note that Jonak also still has that armor.
Yeah.
So he didn't take enough damage in the prior fight to actually remove that. They couldn't get through his shields to get the armor in the first place. And now, well, it's time for the jungle team, but Janus takes a little bit more damage than he would have liked early with that Orb of Discord, and he's going to get out.
Yeah, and you use both support ults. If you are Seoul Dynasty, it'll be Animo here who uses Valkyrie. It's actually, I know Janus who's in Primal Rage, you can't put a bubble down to res Libero up, so he will switch off of Brigitte to play Pharah as he's trying to get back.
This is not over. Jonak almost has yet another Transcendence. He used his last one in the prior fight. He's been getting so many of them right now, and he's waiting for a chance to use it. Now that ult is available, but he might have run out of teammates. Now he knows he just needs to get back to the point. Keep Meko topped up, as well as the Pharah, of course, of Libero over the top. Thinking about flanking, sees the Widowmaker's been tracking his movement, so now he needs to join the rest of his team properly. Libero will keep it staggered, but there's Wakid. Comes in with a barrage. Meko does find the Wakid. Of course, he's suspended in midair, helpless. He has to take the blast, and now the drop in has begun. Janus gets to the point. He finds Gambler early. Big picks. In fact, he found himself two. Janus often the more maligned of the tank plays here on New York. He just made a huge play to keep them in this round.
And Saviel B on Tracer getting back to the point, and then, they step off the point. That'll be NYXL taking Lijiang Tower. They will take the series 3-0.
This is egregious from Seoul. They were in a winning fight. Saviobi was at half health. He was just trying to stall out the point, but Seoul, for whatever reason, went to chase the two supports. They were low on health, that the rest of their team could have taken down anyway. I've seen it all now. I've absolutely seen it all. I'd say I'm done, but we've got another match to go. 3-0. We'll see you after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Sour Patch Kids. Sour, sweet, gone. Wow!
First, they're sour. Then they're sweet.
Oh, thanks, guys.
New Sour Patch Kids Fire and Freeze. Sour, sweet, gone.
anticipation has been building, and it is finally time.
I'm not going to miss these games. They're incredible.
This is hype. This is what we've been waiting for. All going to come down to this.
All the marbles on the line here.
They are the best team we have in Overwatch League. This is going to be so fun to watch.
Map 3 between the NYXL and Seoul Dynasty ends in a very strange manner, and I will reserve judgment outside of the knee-jerk reaction of what the heck was that, and see what the desk have to say about it, if anything. Maybe they just avoid it, but Seoul ultimately were in control. It seemed like they had a winning fight. It was 99 to 99.
Yeah.
And then New York won the round. So they left a point for whatever reason. I know what that's called in other languages.
Well, you know what it is. You don't have to leave the point for that long in that situation because overtime's been going on for such a long time.
Just
It's
literally
just
one
a
step off,
split
it would have been
second,
done. And Saviobi was stalling the point there at half health, and they just might not have been aware that he was there.
The one shot we got was Miro getting off of the point to go around and chasing both supports, and then you don't know if the other person on the point. I know maybe it was like Wakid playing far right, goes a little bit to the side and doesn't able to get back on. So don't exactly know what happened, but still walk away from the point.
NYXL go from strength to strength. Hey, do you want to see, just as it's something interesting, it's not really about the money here at the Overwatch League. Okay, maybe it is a fair bit, but you want to see how much these guys have racked up this season?
Yep.
Cha-ching! So stage 1 runner-up, stage 2, stage 3 champions.
Yeah, this is like minimum 4th place at the playoffs, right? So this is like if they get the bye, which they do have because they're the first seed, and then get first rounded. So this is like making the least amount of money in the overall playoffs as possible. Already 625,000 in the bank for these guys.
Yeah, I mean, because they have that regular season first place locked in now, they will be first in the regular season. So there's a huge bonus that comes associated with that. So these guys are enjoying themselves right now, and especially heading in towards those season playoffs, there's potentially more for them to come out with. So not only the glory, not only the fame, but of course, a little bit of cash money on the side, pretty helpful. And Mano comes in here for Jonas.
So some subs that come in, it'll be Mono, it'll be Arc as well. And then in the back, we hear the crowd going crazy, and I'm like, all right, Heinz coming in.
You know it.
Coming in for the final map in this series.
You know what he's saying? I say, yeah, they're cheering for me, bro. You hear that? Yeah, that's right.
Well,
his neck seems to have
this
been
tells you. Yeah, I mean.
That looks like some sort of strapping, so it could be like a shoulder, sort of a slight strain or something like that. Yeah, because he's been grinded out there. He's been out there in the jungles of ranked. He's seen everything now. He's coming to bring the real stuff. Gonna hunt him down some prize boars here.
This tells you they want to play either Widow Tracer or a lot of Widow Brigitte here. Because you would have left, if you wanted to play like a Widow Junk, Widow, Widow Hanzo, you would have left Libero in, right?
Right.
So, I mean, even Widow Brigitte, he could have played, obviously we just saw Libero play some Brigitte, but looks like Seoul Dynasty on defense, pretty standard here with a Widow Genji. Interesting, we talked about how
this is a metaphor for Tracer in the current meta, by the way.
Yeah, right. I think we said Miro would be the answer for this team if they're playing a lot of Reinhardt, right? And he looked good in map number 1. They've been playing a lot of like Winston and Dive since then.
Well, I mean, that was initially what Miro was known for, right?
Right.
Actually, kind of the leader in sort of the Winston mindset, if you can give it a name. But as of late, obviously, Seoul have had problems in coordinating their dives match. It's not looked as good.
No. But it started to look better when they had Jae-Hung in at their main tank, though. I don't know. I think, I mean, on the previous teams, like, I've worked with and been on, like, making a change, like, so late near, like, a drastic change, like, near the playoffs, like, you need to make that change, like, 2 months out, right? Like, you can't start, like, working around with some of the pieces this late in the season. It makes it really difficult on some of these players, so. We'll see how it works out for Seoul. It'll be Fleta who gets that first pick on the Pine. It'll get Rez right back up.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's got a bit of warming up to do still, perhaps Pie, but I mean, he's been thrown right into the fire, so it's not a terrible way to do it. See Miro very cagey around the corner, not wanting to expose himself. That's the position you put defenders in, running a Widowmaker like Pine.
I think NYXL is going to get exactly what they want, though. When Saviobi comes out playing Tracer, Wakid switches over to Brigitte, I think you'll see NYXL make a change. Unless they want to use this as almost like a little bit of a practice session, right? See if you can still run the Winston Diva Tracer against a Brigitte.
See if they just play around it as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can avoid it, right?
We've seen instances of Brigitte being very impactful, and in the Overwatch League, sometimes not so much. So NYXL now sort of just bolstered by the Transcendence in play. You can see Seoul just completely back off here. Give them a lot of room, and they wait that out quite astutely. Now they return to the fight itself. And Seoul just wants to drop a Pulse Bomb here. He doesn't want to hang around too long and risk getting picked up by Wakid. Pulse Bomb doesn't stick to Gambler, and he can get away.
All right, so now let's see what NYXL switch to. A lot of ultimates here for Seoul Dynasty. They're going to use the rally. You assume get everybody grouped up around.
So here's the question now. Is this Sabiel Pine setup still good when the enemy team is playing a Vegeta?
It's not ideal as you hear the rally going on. Everybody positioned around. Well, it gives you obviously your best Tracer in the game and your best Widowmaker as well. It's just now the fact that you can kind of hard counter a Tracer, it's a little bit harder.
I feel like you can still do a lot as a Widowmaker on attack against the Winston setup.
Yeah.
I feel like if Seoul switched to Ryan for whatever reason, then NYXL are probably thinking about mixing it up a little.
I mean, look at this. I mean, Blended now with this armor, sitting down here of the high ground. What does Pine do? As you see, eat some orbs there from Jonak as Miro falls early, so you lose the Winston right off the bat.
And look at all this ground Seoul once again had to give. Fleder got his pick last time on Pine by actually playing passively and coming out at just the right time, but now I don't think the NYXL are going to let Seoul get a look in on this fight. Now, they're going to get pretty much eviscerated on the point very quickly.
Just think about how easy they make that look. They had used Rally, everybody had the effects of armor from Rally. Transcendence and Valkyrie there. And NYXL just made it look easy. That is such a difficult fight that they make. Well, I mean, it is difficult once Seoul loses Miro, like before they can even get a use.
You start with a pick on the best target outside of Gambler, I'd say, to start that fight. Or you know, as Zenyatta with Transcendence. Miro going down there, a huge blow to Seoul. Remember, like, Vegeta Winston means that Vegeta's probably playing a little bit more passively or trying to sort of protect the backline or try and control a point or space and not get in your face with Orion and try and set up charges or shatters. So it's a different style. And it's defensive. So Sabiel now has to play a different style himself. I'm really curious to see how he's trying to navigate these. Well, okay, from high to low, I guess. Just drop straight on down. Gravity, his friend, as he gets it on Fleder. And Jaehong's already down, so this is bad news bears.
Well, they're trying to use the Brigitte in an offensive way, and they're just running around the Brigitte and having Mono and Sabiel just jump on players in the back. And now Pine's starting to hit some shots. It'll be Miro using Primal Rage. He will be able to get Pine. He'll just try and stall out the card here. Wakid does have his rally. We'll see if they can get all grouped up to use it.
At that point, Pine knows he's going to get turned into chutney inside that small corridor. He's happy enough picking off the enemy D.Va anyway, putting it in a pretty even state. That means that NYXL can keep the ground they've gained and not have to back out of the shuttle phase itself. He's happy with trading.
So now you use Rally. Let's see if everybody can get the effects of it. As Mono goes in, he'll use Primal Rage. Sabiel B just lurking here, building up towards a Pulse Bomb. He's gonna earn it.
It's going to hurt too. Miro, not hard target for him to hit. He's probably thinking he might not even need it. Wakid, that'll be a big stick target. Now, no one really affected by that one. It looks like Zumba might have been clipped by the Pulse Bomb. But inside of Transcendence, it must be a pretty clean stick or someone has to stand on top of it. Wakid is down now, and NYXL just weather the storm. Seoul come forward with that healing, but they can't get anything done with it, Matt.
All three support ultimates yet again. The Rally, the Valkyrie, and the Transcendence. And just Transcendence and Valkyrie that powers NYXL all the way through. This is just this is what you see what a calculated dive can do, right? When you play like a very strong dive composition. This one not with a Genji, but with a Widowmaker, right? So it's a little bit different. But when you play this and the coordination is good, you can beat just about anything. As you see Pine getting a little bit out of position there.
Pine just gets his butt kicked across the back. He didn't intend to drop down, of course. It's a little bit hard because you can't sort of stand on the top there. You slide down one side or the other. A lot of rooftops like that in Overwatch, you can't just stand on the roof. So self-destruct gets set up. Not really affected by it, but it buys NYXL the space to sort of regather themselves in the middle of this fight. Mono takes a breather. Arc tending to his wounds. And Sabiel with another Pulse Bomb could just open this straight back up again. It might want to do that before the rally really ticks in.
I mean, do you really feel the need to? I mean, you've beaten them when they have the rally. And the other support ultimates every time. I think Sabiel B. So this is what we've seen before. It's going to be Mono dives in there with Meko. That'll be a nice place self-destruct there from Zunba.
That room is such a death trap for self-destructs. I think I see so many players in there who think they're safe from them and who actually aren't. Because obviously if you can see the mech in any way, even a sliver of it, you're probably going to get hit by the blowout.
Yeah, the one kill actually, Mono and Sabiel B, what I was going to talk about, they just keep going on these flanks together. Fleda takes the duel there. end up winning it against Pine. But once those kills started to go down, the self-destruct actually split them off. Then Mono has to come all the way back. They're not able to complete that little flank they're trying to do.
See how much better Seoul looks with, Flatter taking these duels and actually winning them out. Even though like he was actually playing more passively on that first point, he was doing it for the sake of his own survival.
And I mean, Flutter with 5 final blows right now, 4 of them against Pine. They're doing a nice job in that Widowmaker battle. Pine, 4 final blows to his own name, but 5 deaths. So 4 of the 5 deaths from Pine coming from Flutter.
That's 80%, big fella. That's a lot.
That would be 80%.
That's my maths brain. Yeah, don't do maths on stream, fam. Unless you have a degree. And then still don't do it because you forgot it all.
Then still don't do it, yeah.
All right, so Savior drop down here on a Flatter or someone. He's probably trying to make sure that Flatter's used his grapple now, so he could cheekily drop in, but you probably want it as a tank-killing mechanism here, and Miro would be the ideal target. Savior comes out there with a little bit low on health, but he's gaining that orb of harmony. Jonak does deliver healing, believe it or not. The myths are wrong. It's just the wives' tale that he doesn't heal. And Zuma's down, and the payload is still moving, by the way. You can see up the top there, it's getting very close. So now Seoul are getting funneled back inside their spawn, put under house arrest. Not allowed to leave now. You can't even go and get yourself Tootsie Rolls. I assume you have them here?
Yes,
Pine finds a final kill. Can you imagine that?
I mean, you're looking at some of the stats here from the first half. Jonak versus Jaehung. Is 6 eliminations, 1 final blow for Jonak, 2 deaths, 2 elims, no final blows for Jaehung, 3 deaths. It's really the damage numbers though, 59-58 for Jonak, 47-32 for Jaehung. And then also, you played the Brigitte the entire time. You didn't really slow Savior down. I mean, 11 elims, good kill contribution, right? The 3 final blows, only 1 death.
That'd be a great question, I think, if we get to ask. If Savior was in the interview, like how are you playing around this Brigitte and still having an impact? I mean, to be honest, he can't go ham and he can't just brazenly walk into a backline, but he wasn't shut down.
Well, the Brigitte is playing with the tanks in the front, so you just use your blinks, you go all the way around, and then you start attacking the supports in the back.
Do you want to? Is that what you want to see when you've got a team that's playing like Diva Winston, and you'll have a Brigitte that is playing frontline?
Yeah. So what they were trying to get done is a lot of it comes down to Pine, right? If Pine takes Fleta out, then you think that the res is going to come in. That's when Mono and Savior will be attack, and then it puts the Brigitte in a tough spot because she's the only healer for the tanks at that time, right? Because the Mercy's going for the res, the Mercy's getting healed by the Zen, trying to get the res, and then Brigitte is in a middle ground, right?
But the Brigitte is trying to keep the res going or keep the backline alive. She can't heal her tanks.
Yes, and then you use, all the players coming through the front, right? Because then you just leave the Diva with the supports on the cart, the Widowmaker there as well. So you need, some kind of healing for that Diva. So even if they get the res on the Fleta, you most likely lose Zunba anyway, and then you're in another weird position. So in a weird spot.
Some things to look out for then are if Sabiobi does a similar thing on Brigitte on the defensive side here for NYXL. Does he play aggressive? Does he sit back? He'll definitely be guarding the door to start with here. A cheeky stun will potentially remove Seoul down to 5 players, but how do you sort of operate now in different environments? It's not just Brigitte, Ryan, Zarya, like you see on ranked quite frequently. Seoul out of the gates here. They've got the double sniper composition here to play up against NYXL. So 2 snipers, are they better than 1? We'll see if Pine can beat the odds.
Which is interesting. Against double sniper, we usually see double sniper back, or you can even play like Widow Genji, right? Genji pretty effective against Hanzo and Widow, but Savior doesn't play any Genji. We've seen Pine play really limited Genji, but not going to make that change. They'll actually play Brigitte against us.
Pine's played so many roles. He was LW Red. He was playing the flexible. He played a bunch of Sombra and Zen.
So what you can do here for NYXL is just kind of hold position on the cart. Maybe put some pressure up on the high ground. Just force these snipers out of position. Like, don't give them easy picks, right? Like, don't just kind of poke out here on the high ground, let the key pick you off, and then come on in. They're just playing inside the server room with the supports, taking away any angles that these snipers would get.
Okay, Wakid now is going to make sure that Fleta has eyes sort of the duration of this Sonic Arrow on Pine. It's a tough fight for Pine to win. I think if he sees that Sonic Arrow, he backs away. And I think Fleta's anticipating that because he's focusing his attention on the server room. Now that Seoul have just fed themselves bodily to the meat grinder here, man. They walk into that server room with a double sniper composition. You want to do that against
I kind of get it, though. I kind of get it, because the tanks are trying to create the space for the snipers and trying to create angles for the snipers. Everybody is playing inside of the server room. So the tanks say, okay, let's try and force them out of the server room.
Seoul wanted their snipers in the server room.
No, they don't want the snipers in the server room. The snipers just end up following them, right? but you can't have the tanks go into the server room because you're sitting there with Sabiel protecting the supports playing Brigitte, right? So all that damage comes down. Now they switch off of one of the snipers. Now you can actually send the tanks in there with your Junkrat because they're not playing as Zarya. You're not going to get charged up. You can just spam all that damage down onto these supports.
A bit more of a hands-off approach is probably what Seoul are fancying right now, given that Sabiel's been more than happy to get involved in some biffo. Arc is down, there you go. Indirect damage, pays off nicely. Now the Mercy's down, Sabiel gets trapped here and could be okay. You can always just shield, bash out of the way. Oh, hello! Intruder alert! Miro just appears inside that room during Primal Rage, and now Sabiel is going to have to get away. It's a mid-fight rally, and you kind of know that the team who's using this ability at this time is under a lot of pressure. Sabiel was just trying to top up the NYXL during the fight. It's working. They've got both the supports isolated. Sabiel not really respecting Jaehong here, getting right in his face, and Gambler. Sabiel flailing in both senses of the term.
NYXL holds on to their Valkyrie as well during that fight. So you do like the switch from the Seoul Dynasty, so bringing in Junkrat is the right call here. If they're going to run Winston D.Va in Brigitte, and they're going to play in the server room, you have to make it pay with a lot of damage up front. So see if they can get a better crack at it this time, though.
1 minute for Seoul. Bear in mind, NYXL have already finished the map here, so Pine. Is it a Pine moment? I've asked that a couple times before, so it'll be a good chance for him to pop off if he gets eyes on Wakid. Wakid will be extremely vulnerable. Pine's just been pretty quiet.
So now you see it change up from NYXL. When Junkrat's in now, you see they want to play in this open area with the high ground, right? Junkrat can't get a ton of value here. They do get a D-Mech on Nemeko, though. That's going to be some shots that come in from Fleta. So
playing out in the open map exposes them quite a bit. You see Jaehong and Fleta now can get good damage because all their targets are easily visible to them. No one's really breaking line of sight on the NYXL. So Wakid forces them into the open, and then Jaehong and Fleta knock them down. It's like bowling pins. A nice little 1-2 punch, and that'll be the first point coming up for Seoul here. NYXL torn between two approaches to defending.
Yeah, I mean, you wanted that position if you are NYXL because you're worried. I mean, Fleta hadn't really done much up until this point, right? So you're on the Widowmaker, so you're not really exactly worried about him. You're worried about playing inside the server room, your support
getting... Understood, have a nice day.
Mono turns right back around. At that point, you're just worried about the damage that Wakid's going to put down his Junkrat. Maybe you think he has a Riptire, right? You want to be spread for when the Riptire comes. So they play out in the open.
Yeah, I think Mano was trying to fade away into the shrubbery there as Fleta sends one into his dome. The Keats with Tire will just sit here, get down to pretty low period of time. Maybe he sends it out and tries to get something with it, but again, just to stall out. He's more than happy. Oh, and he gets that as well. That's brutal. The only big stall for 10 seconds, but a kill on Arc that can't be rezzed. Very good start for Seoul here in this second stage. I say start, but they're almost to the end of this stage. They've kept NYXL completely outside, and this is how Gibraltar tends to snowball. Jonak using that ultimate when he's at risk of being knocked off the edge is incredibly risky.
Yeah, I mean, Mono's going to use his Primal Rage as well inside the hangar, though, as Sabiel how many times do we see this? Just dancing on the payload.
Incredible stall. That was just incredible. Meko gets there just in time, and Sabiel stayed alive. Now NYXL can get some reinforcements here. It's actually just Miro now. He's the last one left. Somehow they hold on to this, and I am very impressed. NYXL continuing to display a very good understanding of their march.
And here's the trade-off. It's back and forth between Sabiel and Wakid. Sabiel comes back as Tracer. Now Wakid goes off of Junkrat. Now we'll play Brigitte again.
We've never really seen this so often, switching between fights to deliberately counter a pick before in the Overwatch League. In fact, even in Overwatch. Yeah. So this is nice. The problem for Seoul, I think, coming into this fight is that they used a lot of their ultimates. And in that previous fight they did, Wakid also switched, so he's not really close to a rally. Infrasight for Pine is huge. Pulse bomb for Sabiel, well, would have been big. Unfortunately, he doesn't connect it. Very erratic play. You can see he's very much flicking back and forth. So they had that Valkyrie match still.
We'll see when they decide to use it. So it'll be Pine who stays on the cart here, trying to land shots. So yeah, Mono and Sabiel both playing very aggressive as Sabiel dies at the hands of Jaehong. Mono's going to fall as well.
That was Bigita's involvement there as well, if I'm not mistaken. That's got to be an offensive assist for Wakid. I heard the charge. I heard Tracer die pretty much straight after. Coincidence? I think not. Jonak is down, and then YXL probably just give this one up for dead. They can't get to the point, and now they probably want to die as quickly as possible if they can. They might even chase Mano here. Sabiel can stall out for a couple seconds. It'd be a nuisance, but Fleta removes him instantly.
And you hold on to your Valkyrie. There is no chance of them really coming back in this because Now you'll have Valkyrie and Transcendence. Seoul Dynasty will end up with Valkyrie and Transcendence as well during this. We'll see if Wakid can grab himself a rally, as now SaveLB switches over to Brigitte. Now we're going to have a mirror composition from both teams.
For how long is the question. And Seoul start poorly on this map, but actually catch up to NYXL in terms of time with a very good second stage, so they'll be happy with that. Now the teams are approximately even. At least Dynasty are on pace to catch this next point. Wakid takes a lot of damage and is forced to back away again. That shield doesn't protect you from the Tesla cannon of Winston. Mano dies with Primal Rage, though. He dies to a self-destruct. It was a complete one-kick here. He'll need to be brought back by the NYXL, but it's a matter of protecting Arc while he does that. And it looks like they're having trouble doing it.
I think you're going to let him come off the spawn. I think you're waiting. You were worried if Jonak would have fell. You would want to get the res onto the player with Transcendence. That'll be Transcendence used, keeping everybody alive. Mecha launches a self-destruct to back some players up. SaveLB already close to a rally. We just see Wakid use that rally as well. Mono have Primal Rage. We'll see how he uses it here towards the end. He jumps into the back.
Yeah, he flanks all the way around them and forces a Guardian Angel out of Gambler, where he's going to have to retreat. Mono has a Primal Rage, so you might see his health going down on the top bar, but don't be too concerned. He pops it now. And the entirety of Seoul are actually trying to peel back and deal with Mano. They're trying to all gang up on a Primal Rage Winston. Mano's just debating them left, right, and center. Oh, God. He's just a distraction, guys. He's a comic relief character. Pine goes down to Flatter, though. At least Seoul have managed to turn their attention to the real fight map, but they might have run out of time. Saviovi's backing up here. Rally was used. They're pretty well armored up, especially Jonak. He's definitely starting to flex those guns. NYXL prepare for one final fight to end it here.
Yeah, they're sitting around the corner here. They're waiting for Pine to come back off of respawn. That'll be Zumba launching a self-destruct in, trying to force some players back to the spawn door, and he gets a D-Mech onto Meko.
Yeah, he forced Meko in a D-suit, which is big. Meko was actually trying to hit the backline, so now Seoul can actually breathe a bit easier until Mano joins the fray. Flutter is being healed by an Orb of Harmony, and you can see it's enough to keep alive by Mano's scrutiny. And now over the top goes Miro. Flutter gets another pick. Flutter's been so big in this map so far. He's kept Seoul alive. 2 picks for him in the fights. And Seoul, against the odds, remain in this map.
So Flutter really, comes alive there towards the end. Starts to get some kills on Pine, 3 in a row. They even dedicated Mono there towards the end to just jump all the way into the back to try and put pressure on Flutter. Gambler pockets up all the way through the pressure that Mono put down, keeps him up. Right after they keep him alive, Fleta takes out Pine, and they move the payload on through.
Let's see how this went down as well, from his perspective, perhaps, as we had a bit of a fly-through at the end of the map here. 2 very important kills. The first one was, of course, the big boss. There goes your head. Secondly, Savior will be down as well. That's huge. And this, I really feel like he's the evergreen element on Seoul Dynasty, you know what I mean?
He's so good.
Win or lose, Fleta manages to maintain consistent pressure. Pine is losing out to him in the head-to-head. We already mentioned that beforehand. Yeah. I think 80% of Fleta's kills on the previous half were on Pine, and normally we never see this happen. Normally it's assumed that Pine will have carte blanche when he gets onto these maps on the Widowmaker. Not today, though.
I mean, you kind of look at Fleta, not really a front runner for like the Team Mobile MVP, but I think he still needs to be in the conversation, just because what would this team look like without Fleta, right? With how good he has been throughout Overwatch.
I'll put it this way, Matt. There are teams with less wins higher on the MVP leaderboard than Fleta.
Yeah, I mean, look, that is true. But where would this team be without him and his strong play thus far? So we'll see if Seoul Dynasty decides to run this, and they're going to have Miro play Reinhardt. This is a variation of the pirate ship here with 3 supports.
Fleta gets the honors. See how they play around this one here. Miro on the Reinhardt has actually looked probably better than his Winston so far in his map anyway. His match, should I say. 2 tanks though, so Zumba definitely going to be stretched to keep him covered. Zumba's actually been accosted by Meko outside of Zumba's spawn, and Meko desuited him, as you see right there. So that's really bad for Zumba. Has to go back to spawn and sort of switch out. Mane deals with Wakid, and I think Seoul have realized that this kind of plan's been pulled apart at the seams as Pine connects with the Omnic robot.
They lost Wakid as well, as you see Jonak and crew pushing on through. They'll clean up a few more kills as Jonak already pretty much at Transcendence. Arc with a Valkyrie. Let's see if Seoul Dynasty can even get a touch here as the res comes through onto Mono. Zumba tried to go over the top, not able to make it to the payload in time, so it barely makes it through the tunnel. It'll be 1:30 for NYXL to make that much progress.
Really great play that I guess didn't happen, that we sort of weren't aware of because we were watching Fletter a lot of that time on the Bastion. But yeah, just the Battle of the Divas there between Meko and Zumba. Actually, so Meko actually goes very, very deep, defensively, almost to out front of the Seoul spawn, and gets Zumba desuited. He has to sort of run back to spawn. I assume he'd switch hero and try and...
He did, yeah. He went to Winston and then went back.
Not having a D.Va to protect your Bastion, because the problem is when you go through the car wash, we call it, right, that little underpass there, Reinhardt can protect you from the front, or the back, or above, but only one at a time. And you can drop in on top of this Bastion and really punish him, and that's what we saw happen. Miro went down, there was no more protection. So not having a D.Va mech, should I say, for Seoul was what really hurt.
Yeah, and I mean, the second player they'll fall is Wakid, right? So you lose another shield, some healing, a lot of damage coming in, the ability to stun players who come right onto the cart. So
All sound like nice things to have, don't they?
But they didn't have them.
Nope.
You see, that is where the payload must get to. A little bit of a slower comp that comes out here from Seoul, so you'll play Reinhardt, Brigitte, and you'll play D.Va still, so you'll probably want the D.Va in case Fleta loses that battle to go chase Pine up top, just getting his base defense matrix for the supports as well.
Yeah, Seoul definitely turtling up here a little bit more when you see that Reinhardt brought in. They're not trying to dive so much. That does mean that NYXL probably can get a little bit more room to breathe, especially for Pine, providing that Fleta just doesn't curb stomp as he did previously in this map. So, Pine's definitely a big element here. Their win condition rests quite squarely on his shoulders if he can work around these shields.
And with how Seoul Dynasty is playing, it's pretty much a one-fight game, right? They're playing so far back. Savior will switch off of Brigitte, will play Tracer. You can play Tracer pretty effectively here because look, Seoul's going to get up and play right on the cart. You can get a lot of nice flanking routes here as Tracer.
And you can get the Widowmaker, most importantly. Fleta will be playing separately from Miro. Savior knows that Miro will probably be playing together with the Brigitte and Wakid, so he can try and trade. Look at this flank, they wrap around now. And now Seoul have to really bunker up.
What angles does Fleta have here? Playing Widow down in the tunnel.
Fleta is probably trying to wrap back around behind Savior, but he knows it. They called it. Oh, Fleta's not getting anywhere, but NYXL still need to break the payload out.
Pinched here. Yeah, but
the Italian job still needs to be completed, man.
Just the poke damage that's going to come down. This is an awful spot for Seoul to be in this corner.
And this is not an insult. This is not saying this is bad. I saw this in Contenders back when we were doing it in Colorado, and it had quite ridiculous results, actually. I think it was an Immortals game. Our team was sort of stuck up in here now. When Savior gets that false bomb, self-destruct is bad, it forces him out of position. Great response there. Seoul really knew just to make sure they didn't have line of sight, but they have lost Umba's mech. And now it might just be all falling apart. The Jenkin Tower wasn't put together well in the first place, and Seoul didn't even want to look at their assailants. They get dug out. It's like an oyster wrapped from the shell, and NYXL will enjoy their high-class treat. It'll be a 4-0.
And a change we didn't see because they go all the way around on the flank. Pine, when they have them trapped in that little area, switches off of Widow and goes Junkrat. Actually makes it back to the spawn and goes Junkrat. So it comes back in, it'll put down a decent amount of damage, chunk some of those players down.
I mean, you had the flexibility to do that as New York because you have incredibly, huge spawn advantage, right? You just head back to spawn, you just bugger off there, you use your grappling hook to get yourself there nice and quick, and then, well, pretty much in the words of DJ Khaled, Seoul, you played yourselves.
It's these teams very close, right? But still,
especially gambling with these guys.
Yeah.
Wait.
Didn't. It's not a close match though. It's Seoul Dynasty. They have a very tough opponent tomorrow. The London Spitfires. You see, almost take
would it be the second NYXL player to fall off the stage?
Yeah.
My concern. J-Hong is like a big brother to a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
A lot of respect shared between these teams. J-Hong is definitely a figure of leadership here, but there it is. NYXL themselves continue to lead the table. They've locked in that first seed for the playoffs. A dominant victory here over Seoul. We'll be with the desk and some analysis after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's fastest network ever. Omened by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel. Intel Core i7 powers the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everyone. Down here on the floor with me is Danny and Libero from the NYXL. Please give it up for him and his team for that 4-0 sweep against the Seoul Dynasty. Now, of course, these performances are amazing from you and the players on stage, but we also have to give some credit to the people working behind the stage, the coaching staff. And I know that not very long ago, you guys actually added a new coach. Zed is his name. What does he bring to the team?
코치 한 분이 새로 더 들어와서 이제 코칭 받는 게 좀 효율적으로 바뀌고 그 다음에 놓친 부분도 새로운 코치님이 잡아주셔서 좋아진 것 같아요.
With the addition of the new coach that we have, now we have 3 coaches, and I think the team itself is dividing equal parts of the work so we could efficiently and effectively practice and go about making our strategy.
All right. Now, you just clinched your season playoff spot. You also got that sweet, sweet $300,000 bonus for the season record. Yeah, that's, by the way, a reason to clap. That was pretty insane. So I would assume that takes off a lot of pressure for you and the rest of the team. Are you going to take it easy for the rest of the stage?
이제 아무래도 지금보다는 좀 더 힘을 풀고 하겠지만 그래도 다른 팀한테 질 생각은 없어서 이번 목표는 당연히 10승으로 잡고 할게요.
I want to say that I don't want to say we're going to go easy, but we'll definitely be a little bit more relaxed and just continue to do our thing.
All right. What I'm hearing here is no mercy for the opponents. Well, tough luck, everyone. But once more, give it up for Libero and his team. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Danny, for the translation. We're now heading over to the desk to break down the action.
Thank you very much, Zoe. The NYXL get the 4-0 sweep. They continue their reign of dominance. Guys, the Seoul Dynasty look like Pusha T after a Drake diss. Let's be real, man. They look completely flustered.
They did.
What?
They definitely did. I think they...
You gotta check Twitter. It's on Twitter. You haven't had a chance to yet, but there's some stuff going down. But they look flustered.
They do. They had a couple of moments where they looked good. I mean, Gibraltar being able to push it all that distance and some strategic use of Brigitte at times, you know, that's promising. That's good-looking stuff for them. But in general, I think they're still having that similar problem. And they need to be getting wins. They need to be showing improvements against other teams if they're going to hold on to their playoff spot and meet NYXL in the finals.
All right, well, let's go ahead and jump straight into the highlights, starting with Lee Jang-Tao and Reinforce. What you see there, man?
Well, it was a lot more Winston than I expected, honestly. It seems like these Korean teams, they like to run the Winston. Mira was on the Reinhardt for a while here, but overall, even on Gibraltar, we saw a lot of Winston coming out, Gibraltar being a very high-ground-oriented map, but it begs the question when we see these teams go up against the other top teams this stage, the Houston Gladiators, Philadelphia Fusion, are we going to see more adaptations? Because as it is, we're still seeing a lot of Winston, Diva, Widowmaker, and Sabiolbi is still mantling the Tracer at times. So very interesting to see these teams on their take on the current meta.
I would say as well that coming into the game, I had set out kind of a win condition to Seoul Dynasty. If Fleder's able to completely manhandle Sabiolbi and win that Widowmaker duel, then you'll have a good road of being able to get into it. And Fleder actually did have a good performance on Li Shang. But this play at the end here, where they were in the final fight and then they all just step up the point, that's a classic.
So heartbreaking.
It was brutal to watch. But then going into here, again, Fleder having a better end of it than Pine overall, at least in the first half of the game. And again, they have a road back in. But Seoul Dynasty, they struggled a little more. It didn't come as fluidly as it does for the NYXL. And when they get into time bank, you know, they're not playing aggressively enough and they're just giving NYXL all the space. NYXL are masters of positioning. I mean, if you give them an opportunity, they'll crush you.
Yeah, Mitch mentioned, of course, Sunba lost his mech and they can't protect the Bastion as well. But even for me, they're delaying the inevitable because in many ways, Pine will just find another angle once they push through the choke and they will go down to the Widowmaker. So I'm a bit surprised that they're playing such vanilla compositions in many ways. They're not bringing any flavor to this meta so far, and you're bringing out the Bastion, but as I said, you're just delaying the inevitable, in my opinion.
Is that not spicy enough for you, the Bastion?
Well,
what's the flavor of a Bastion?
Well, sure. I mean, Bastion is flavor, right? But it doesn't really work on that point specifically, and that was why they lost Sideshow.
Yeah, it was not a delicious meal.
It wasn't. Well, were there any fights that stood out to you, Reinforce?
Yeah, well, the final fight specifically, because that was peak Overwatch. Can we take a look at that again? to me anyway, because it was in Time Bank on Gibraltar, and the Seoul Dynasty, they're just hiding here in the gaps, and they're just trying to get picks. And as Mitch said, you know, Fleta, he doesn't have any angles. Is this peak Overwatch? Is this what Seoul Dynasty can bring? You know, is this...
This is the best that Seoul Dynasty can do. You know...
Stalling out the card.
Yeah. What was the interview recently? Who's the player that's saying, you want to control 50% of the map?
Yeah, that was Gesture.
The Gesture was saying, you know, as a main tank, you want to try and control 50% of the map.
Like
Seoul Dynasty controlled one room. They controlled one room.
Yeah. And they're pretty much backed into a corner.
Yeah, and then they give New York all the space that they need. And, you know, you've got one guy setting up from this angle, they've got a Widowmaker from the other, Zen from the other, and eventually they just squeeze you out. And that's how NYXL love to play anyway.
It's essentially just telling Fleta, just do something.
Just do whatever you want.
Just do something, Fleta.
That was kind of the story of the whole match, though. It just seemed like the NYXL were just flustering them. They were on top of them, smothering them the entire game.
Yeah, and as I said, even the New York Excelsior aren't bringing any big new changes, really, when it comes to hero picks. They played Pharah Widowmaker at most during Lijiang Tower at some point, and sure, they played some Reinhardt Tara at some point on King's Row, but even then it was mostly Winston. And so it's surprising for me to see that New York Excelsior is playing so well in this meta when they haven't really even adapted to the new meta as the other teams have in the league. As, again, like the LA Gladiators or the Houston Outlaws, Philadelphia Fusion. So I'm looking out for those games. Those games are going to be really interesting for me.
Right. Well, speaking of heroes, it's time for us to pick our player of the match. Sponsored by Omen by HP, and today it is Sabiobi.
Yeah, I had to go with Sabiobi here because even though the NYXL, you know, it's a team effort and they really outplayed them strategically in terms of their execution. The potential weak point that I saw was Sabiobi's performance when he's not able to play Tracer. And actually, he just destroyed. You know, on Widowmaker, he was more than holding his own against Fleta for the majority of the first half, the first 3 maps where they actually locked up the victory. And then he hands over the responsibility for that to Pine and instead goes to town on Tracer. He played Tracer into a Brigitte and they're still being able to low Wikied into poor spots and still hit them with really crisp dives from Sabiobi and Mano. So it's very impressive that they're still able, as you're saying, Johnny, to play their style in such a different meta.
Yeah, and Brigitte, sure, it caters to this sort of defensive style, I'd say, because you have that healing aura, you know, you help out Mano, who is famously a very defensive tank by himself. So it plays into the New York Excelsior in many ways, this Brigitte pick, but the way they executed it was flawless today.
So Sabiobi still the best Tracer in the world?
Yeah, I think so.
Because he played versus a Brigitte, so I guess you sort of have to crown him.
He did his thing. Well, guys, it's the last match of the night. We got San Francisco versus Houston coming up next.